I never expected a simple wiring problem to unravel the life I had spent years building. The electrician arrived on a rainy Tuesday afternoon in our half-renovated house in Naperville, toolbox swinging at his side like it weighed nothing. Within minutes he was crawling into the cramped utility closet in the basement, flashlight between his teeth, and muttered those words that would echo in my head for months. "It's a tight fit back here." Then he dropped to his knees, broad shoulders brushing the drywall as he reached for the panel. "Ethan Caldwell, that's me. 29 years old, financial analyst at a downtown Chicago firm, engaged to Lauren Bennett for 14 months. On paper, everything looked perfect. The house we were fixing up before the wedding, the ring on her finger, the approval from both our families who had known each other since church picnics in the suburbs. My father, Robert, liked to say I was the son who did everything right. Stable job, traditional values, a future that included grandkids and country club memberships. But standing there watching this stranger work, something felt off in a way I couldn't name. Derek Vance introduced himself with a firm handshake when he first arrived. He was a few years older than me, maybe 31, with calloused hands and the kind of easy confidence that came from fixing things for a living. His company shirt stretched across his chest, and when he smiled, it reached his green eyes. "Shouldn't take long, Mr. Caldwell. Just a loose connection from the remodel." I nodded, trying to focus on the emails I needed to answer, but the house felt quieter than usual with Lauren at a staff meeting. He worked methodically, asking occasional questions about the renovation. I answered from the doorway, arms crossed, telling myself it was polite to supervise. The truth was simpler and more unsettling. There was something magnetic about the way he moved, efficient and unself-conscious. When he shifted on his knees to get a better angle, his forearm flexed, and I caught myself staring longer than necessary. Heat crept up my neck. I blamed the stuffy basement. "Hand me the voltage tester?" he asked without looking back. I stepped closer, careful not to crowd the small space, and passed the tool. Our fingers brushed. It was nothing, just skin on skin for half a second, but my pulse jumped like I'd touched a live wire. Derek glanced up then, those green eyes steady. "Thanks. You been having flickering lights anywhere else?" We talked while he worked. Small things at first. The Cubs' chances this season, how the suburbs had changed since we were kids, the endless cost of home repairs. He mentioned growing up in a blue-collar neighborhood on the south side, learning the trade from his uncle. I shared that my family had moved to Naperville when I was 10 for the better schools and safer streets, as my father put it. Derek chuckled. "Yeah, I know the type. My folks dreamed of places like this." As he tightened connections, he told a story about a job gone wrong last year, a flooded basement that turned into an all-night ordeal. His laugh was low and genuine, the kind that made you want to laugh along even if the story wasn't that funny. I found myself leaning against the doorframe, genuinely engaged for the first time in weeks. Work had been brutal, wedding planning felt like a checklist I was failing at, and Lauren and I had been arguing more about little things that seemed bigger at night. When Derek finally backed out of the closet and stood, brushing dust from his knees, he wiped his hands on a rag. "That should do it for now, but you've got some outdated wiring in the walls here. Might want to think about a full upgrade before you flip the switch on anything major." He handed me a card. "Call if you need me back. Happy to help." I walked him to the door. Rain had eased to a drizzle. As he loaded his truck, I stood on the porch feeling strangely hollow. The house was quiet again. I went back downstairs and stared at the closet. The tools gone, but the memory of him on his knees lingering like smoke. That night, Lauren came home tired but excited about centerpieces. I kissed her hello and told her the electrician had fixed the issue. She smiled, oblivious. I smiled back, but inside, a crack had formed in the foundation I thought was solid. The next morning, I caught myself replaying the conversation. Not the technical parts. The way Derek's voice had dropped when he talked about his uncle teaching him to respect the work. The easy way he carried himself, no pretense. I shook it off. Pre-wedding jitters, I told myself. Everyone feels this way. But when I opened my laptop to check emails, the card from Derek sat on the desk like a challenge. By Friday, the lights in the kitchen started flickering again. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe I just needed an excuse. I picked up the phone and dialed. Derek arrived on Saturday morning, earlier than expected. I had spent the night before tossing in bed next to Lauren, who slept soundly after another long week at school. My mind wouldn't quiet. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that moment in the basement. The tight space, the kneeling, the casual strength. It wasn't lust exactly. It was recognition, like seeing a version of myself I had buried so deep I forgot it existed. "Morning, Ethan," Derek said when I opened the door. He wore a different shirt this time, sleeves rolled up, and carried a larger kit. "Heard the kitchen's acting up. Let's take a look." We went straight to work. This time I didn't hover from the doorway. I helped move the fridge so he could access the outlet behind it. Conversation flowed easier. He asked about the wedding. I gave the standard answers. Venue booked, honeymoon in Hawaii, excited but stressed. He nodded, then shared that he had been engaged once, years ago, to a woman. "Didn't work out," he said simply, testing wires. Turned out I was figuring some things out about myself. The words hung there. I froze, screwdriver in hand. "What do you mean?" Derek glanced up from his crouch, no shame in his expression. "I'm gay. Took me until my late 20s to admit it. Family didn't take it great at first, but we got there. Sort of." He shrugged like it was just another fact, like the weather. "What about you? You and your fiancé seem solid." I laughed too quickly. "Yeah, Lauren's great. We've been together since college." But my voice sounded thin even to me. We kept working, but the air had thickened. He didn't push. Instead, he told stories about other jobs, funny clients, a disastrous attempt at DIY plumbing that ended with him covered in sewage. I laughed for real this time, the kind of laugh that loosened something in my chest. When the job was done, he packed up slowly. "Mind if I grab some water?" I led him to the kitchen. We stood at the island, bottles in hand. "You seem like a guy who's got it all mapped out," he said. "But sometimes the map's wrong." Those words hit harder than they should have. I changed the subject to sports, but the seed was planted. After he left, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time. Lauren texted that she was running errands. The house felt too big, too empty. I thought about my father's voice on the phone last week. "Proud of you, son. Doing it the right way." What was the right way? The one that looked good from the outside? That evening, Lauren and I went to dinner with her parents. They talked about grandkids and church involvement. I smiled and nodded, but my mind kept drifting to Derek's easy acceptance of himself. Later, in bed, Lauren curled against me. "You okay? You've been quiet." I kissed her forehead. "Just tired." The lie tasted bitter. Monday at work, I stared at spreadsheets but saw green eyes instead. By Wednesday, I texted Derek about another issue with the hallway lights. He replied within minutes. "Can come by Thursday evening if that works." Thursday came. Lauren had a parent-teacher conference. Derek arrived as the sun was setting. This time we talked deeper. He asked real questions. What did I want out of life beyond the job and the wedding? When had I last felt truly free? I dodged at first, but the words spilled out anyway. The pressure from my family to succeed, to marry well, to carry on the Caldwell name the proper way. The way my father had cut off my cousin years ago for dropping out of college and moving to California with his boyfriend. "Family's everything," Dad always said. But at what cost? Derek listened without judgment. I lost friends when I came out. My mom cried for weeks, but pretending was killing me slower. He looked at me then, really looked. "You don't have to figure it all out tonight, Ethan. But don't ignore what your gut's telling you." When he left, I stood in the hallway staring at the spot where he had been working. My hands were shaking. For the first time, I admitted to myself what I had been fighting. I was drawn to him in a way I had never been drawn to anyone, including Lauren. The realization terrified me. The weeks blurred into a dangerous rhythm. Derek came back twice more for minor fixes that I exaggerated. Each visit stretched longer. We talked on the porch after jobs, then over coffee at a local shop when Lauren was busy. He never pushed, but his presence made the questions louder. One Saturday afternoon, Lauren was visiting her sister in the city. Derek and I ended up in the backyard, beers in hand, watching the leaves turn. "You ever wonder what your life would look like if you didn't follow the script?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Every day lately." I told him about the nights I lay awake wondering why being with Lauren felt safe but never electric. The way my chest tightened around certain guys in college, but I pushed it down because it wasn't the plan. Derek shared his own story in full then. The denial, the engagement he broke because he couldn't fake it anymore, the painful conversations with his family that eventually led to cautious acceptance. "I don't regret it," he said. "The peace is worth the scars." That night, after he left, I drove aimlessly. When I got home, Lauren noticed my distance. "Ethan, talk to me. Is it work? The wedding?" I assured her everything was fine, but the guilt gnawed. She deserved honesty, yet the words stuck in my throat. Family dinner at my parents' house the following Sunday brought everything into sharp focus. My father grilled steaks and talked politics, railing against the liberal agenda destroying traditional families. My mother nodded along, asking Lauren about future baby names. I sat there smiling, but inside I was screaming. Derek's words echoed. "Don't ignore what your gut's telling you." Later that week, Derek invited me to help him on a small job across town. Just for the company. I went. We worked side by side in another tight space, shoulders brushing. The proximity sent sparks through me. Afterward, sitting in his truck, he turned to me. "Ethan, I like you, more than as a client. But I won't be the reason you blow up your life if you're not ready." I didn't answer. Instead, I reached over and squeezed his hand. It was the first time I had touched him intentionally. The contact burned in the best and worst way. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. Lauren found Derek's card in my jacket pocket and asked casual questions. I lied poorly. That night she cried, saying she felt me pulling away. I held her and promised it was stress. But the promise felt like another crack in the foundation. Tension built like a storm. Derek and I met in secret now, lunches, walks along the river. Each time, the pull grew stronger. One rainy evening in his truck, parked in a quiet lot, the dam broke. We talked about fears and dreams until words ran out. Then I leaned in and kissed him. It was clumsy, desperate, and real. For a moment, the world narrowed to just us. The guilt hit immediately after. I pulled back, apologizing. Derek was patient. "You don't have to be sorry for feeling something true." But sorry was all I felt. I distanced myself for days, throwing myself into wedding plans with Lauren. She seemed relieved, planning the rehearsal dinner with fresh energy. My father called to congratulate me on getting serious about the future. The praise stung. The betrayal came from an unexpected place. My best friend from college, Mark, stopped by the house one evening. He had seen me with Derek at the coffee shop. "Dude, what's going on? You looked close." I denied it, but Mark knew me too well. He didn't tell Lauren directly, but the suspicion spread in our social circle like smoke. Lauren confronted me that weekend. "People are talking, Ethan. Is there someone else?" I broke down partially, admitting I was confused but insisting it was nothing. She wanted couples counseling. I agreed, but the sessions felt like theater. The counselor talked about premarital stress. I nodded along, hating myself. Derek didn't pressure, but the hurt in his eyes when I canceled plans was clear. "I can't keep being your secret, Ethan. It reminds me too much of my old life." Family pressure mounted. My father announced at Sunday dinner that he had spoken to the pastor about officiating the wedding. "This is what life's about, son. Commitment. Family." My mother beamed. Lauren squeezed my hand under the table. I felt like I was drowning. The breaking point arrived during a heated argument with Lauren. She accused me of emotional absence. In the heat of it, I snapped. Maybe I'm not who you think I am. The words hung heavy. She demanded the truth. I couldn't give it fully, but the seed of doubt was planted in her too. That night, alone in the guest room, I cried for the first time in years. The price of truth was becoming terrifyingly clear. The life I had built, the people who loved the version of me I had sold them. I chose the hardest path. One crisp autumn evening, I met Derek at a park and told him I couldn't keep lying. I want to figure this out. With you. He pulled me into a hug, strong and steady. For the first time, hope mixed with the fear. Coming out to Lauren was the first earthquake. We sat in the living room of the house we had planned to fill with children. I told her everything. The confusion, the attraction, the kiss. She went pale, then angry, then devastated. All this time, while I was planning our life, she threw her engagement ring across the room. The sound of it hitting the wall still echoes in my nightmares. She moved out the next day, telling her family I had betrayed her. The social fallout was swift. Mutual friends chose sides. Invitations were rescinded. My parents were next. I drove to their house on a Sunday after church. My father listened in stony silence as I explained. My mother wept. How could you do this to us? To Lauren? We've raised you better. Dad's face turned red. This is not the man I raised. If you choose this lifestyle, don't expect us at the holidays. Don't expect anything. He asked me to leave. The door closing behind me felt final. Work suffered. Whispers followed me. A major client, conservative and vocal, pulled their account after hearing rumors. My boss called me in for a conversation about optics. I wasn't fired, but the writing was on the wall. Colleagues who once invited me to barbecues now avoided eye contact. Derek stood by me through it all. He helped me find a small apartment, listened to my breakdowns at 2 a.m., reminded me that authenticity had a cost but also a reward. We moved slowly, building something real without the secrecy. His family, though wary, was kinder than mine. His mother even sent a card saying she hoped I found peace. The losses piled up. Lauren's pain turned to bitterness. She changed her number. My sister texted once to say Dad had forbidden her from contacting me. Friends faded. The house we renovated went on the market at a loss. I grieved the future I had pictured. The wedding, the kids, the approval. Yet in the quiet moments with Derek, cooking dinner in his small kitchen or walking hand in hand where no one knew us, I felt alive in a way I never had. The internal conflict didn't vanish, but it shifted from shame to determination. Months passed. I settled into a new normal. A smaller job with a more accepting firm, therapy to unpack years of repression, and a relationship with Derek that grew deeper through honesty and shared vulnerability. We faced stares in public, awkward family holidays where only his side showed up, and my own lingering doubts on hard days. The awakening wasn't cinematic. It was gradual mornings where I woke up without the weight of performance, evenings talking about real dreams instead of checked boxes. Derek taught me that love wasn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It was about choosing yourself even when the world punished you for it. My father reached out once, 6 months later, a stiff voicemail about maybe talking. I haven't called back yet. The wound is still raw. Lauren got engaged again quickly. Mutual friends updated me. It stung, but I wished her well silently. Looking back, every decision carried a price. The betrayal of expectations hurt those I loved. The trade-offs cost relationships, stability, and pieces of the identity I had clung to. But the alternative, living half a life in a tight fit that wasn't mine, would have cost me entirely. Derek and I sit on the porch of his house now, watching the same suburban sunset I once feared losing. He squeezes my hand. Worth it? He asks sometimes. In the end, was following my heart and facing the consequences the right choice, even if it meant breaking the hearts of those who raised me and the woman who planned a future with me? Or should I have stayed in the safe, expected life and spared everyone the pain?